Good evening, lords and ladies of the technical thingies. All of you wanting to know about open source, you're right where you should be. I'm turning down this wonderful tune that Bucky has composed with, I forget the name, VCS Rack, an open source
VCV Rack. VCV
Rack. I said
and
VCS Rack.
For those people who missed last week's show, we had the creator of the synth that we just listened to on, and that was Valley Modules. We had him on last week. Very cool. Dale Johnson, VCV Rack.
Absolutely, and we're all ready to shut up in this Soundwave Sword, and it's not just you. We are bringing back today two things, actually. On the first half of the show, we are going to talk with JR Swap. I'm not totally sure if I'm pronouncing this correct, but we are talking with him again. We are revisiting him. He had or has a project that was called, or is called, well, you know about projects that change name. I'm a bit losing track here. I think that he had a project called Archivatory, or something like that, and he renamed it to Nebulous, I think. And we're going to talk with him. He's not. Yeah, links. Well, I'm going to provide links for sure. Not a problem.
I'm working on it.
Bucky is working on it. So this project that he had or has been about a direct upload possibility to the Interplanetary File System, short form IPFS. There has been a lot of talks going on about IPFS lately, being it DTube, DLive, Vim, whatever. He's had one of those projects caring about the upload possibilities into the IPFS. And Boxer has found the Discord link to this Nebulous. Nebulous. I was almost right with a Nebula. I think I said Nebula. It's Nebulous. It's Nebulous app, and we are going to talk with Share Swap in the first half of the show about project experiences in the open source market, in the fast-moving open source market, by the way. And with Codex, we're going to talk in the second half of the show. He's quite famous. Soundwave Sodom said he's ready to shut up and listen. And so am I, because this was a famous radio show that Codex did directly after my show here on MSP Waves. And it was great because I could shut up and listen after my own show and relax and drink a beer. So I'm really missing you, Codex. So this is actually a revisiting of projects that we have talked about in this. I think this is episode number 20, Bucky. Is it episode number 20 that we're having?
Yes, I believe you're correct. I think it is 20. But you know what? It feels like 2.
Really? I think I'm much older than in the beginning. At least I'm feeling that way right now.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It can. Sometimes shows seem very long, and sometimes they feel very short. It feels to me like if somebody told me, you know what, this is episode 20, I would go, what? Really? I would have thought maybe 8 or 10. But time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, definitely.
These shows are, and you really, when you add up the number of hours for the show is a 2-hour show, except for the first couple of episodes. The show is 2 hours. So 20 episodes at 2 hours. Well, let's say 18 at 2 hours. I'm not a mathematician, but I do have a calculator here in the house somewhere. I'm going to get it.
And then you need to punch in those numbers. I think it's the big X, 20, the big X, and then 2, I think. And then you need to punch some other thing.
See, I'm a musician, so I can only count to 4. But you know what? We've had some great.
Yeah, there is the 6/8 rhythm, Well, there were great shows, and we had a long time doing those shows, obviously, because this is counting up to, I don't know, many hours that we did.
Many hours, yeah. Well, the guests that we've had on have been fantastic as well.
Yeah,
because,
you see, Soundwave Sodon is helping. Soundwave Sodon is helping. He's one of the great guests, or she, the Photon. He or she did math. It's like 400 hours.
Yeah. When I realized we need some math, I like a couple of seconds ago, I quickly went to Amazon and ordered a calculator, but looks like Soundwave's got his a little quicker than mine. So the guests we've had on have been fantastic. You look at all these 20. We have 2 guests per show, roughly, sometimes more when we have our panels, and 20 shows, 2 guests per show. Again, math. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people we talk to.
A lot of projects.
Yeah.
A lot of great open source projects.
The thing is now, this for the first time, we're going to revisit things. We're going to see, okay, how did you go? How did life treat you and your project? What happened? I'm quite curious. Really looking forward. Codex. I don't know. Is it really that easy? I don't know. I seriously don't. There are. This is an episode. We're going a little bit off the beaten path today for this episode because normally we have guests that come in and they show us all kinds of new things that they've been working on. But today we have 2 guests. We have Codex and we have Bear Schwab, who are returning guests. Guests. Yes, they have been here.
Yeah, going to update us on what they're doing, the things that they're working on. It's really exciting. So, and today, of course, is Steamfest is on the go. So
definitely. So this means we are going to have. I had a friend of mine talk to me and said, "Hey, are you doing really a radio show tonight? Because nobody will be there. They will all be directly on Steamfest." And I said, "Yeah, do you really think so?" But looking at the audience now, I think, yeah. Maybe some of our listeners also are currently directly on Steamfest, where there is right now happening, I think, the opening drink session, whatever thingy. I don't know exactly.
Well, I mean, what would you rather do? Have drinks or come to the open source radio show?
Well, I'm at the open source radio show, so what does this tell about me or about the decision I made?
But you are drinking beer too.
That's true. Today I'm drinking again Irish beer. I'm not holding the... Oh, there is so many advertisement on the bottle. I cannot hold it so that this is not to be seen. That's complicated. Well, if you are listening or if you are watching this, I cannot say only listening because it's not very important for all of you listening to this out there. Very important is that this is obviously not a radio show. I have been mistaken all the time that I said this. It was my own fault because I'm a lousy German and I cannot express myself better in English. So it's my fault. But I learned that this is not a radio show. It's I forgot it again. Ron always says to me it's something completely different. It's a social broadcasting program entertainment thingy. Something like that.
Exactly.
And since we are social broadcasting... Oh, Clover says no. And Amy Meyer says, I love radio shows. Same here, because maybe I took this. Oh, you remember this radio show? Now I'm completely off track, Bucky. And please put a hold to me if it goes too far off track.
Keep going. I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying it.
But there was this radio show. It was a series in the 80s. So now many of you are out because you are obviously not. But you are not, Bucky. You are in. You have been alive in the 80s as well. And it was in Germany. It was called Der Nachtfalke. But I think it was not called the same. Well, it was for sure an American show, and it was just completely translated to German. And it was called Der Nachtfalke in German. And I give 5 steam to the guy or lady who finds out how this show was called in the US, because it was about a retired policeman, or not a retired policeman. He did some shit and he was doing a midnight radio show call-in thingy. And it was quite amazing. I really loved it back in the 80s. So maybe therefore I wanted to do a radio show and I wanted to call this radio show. But what I wanted to say initially is that if you're watching this on Vim or on Twitch, you can even see me doing things like waving around with a bottle right now of beer that I'm going to drink, which is obviously an Irish one. So 5 Steam still out there.
I don't know what that show is. I don't know what that show is.
Retired policeman, and he was doing a midnight call-in radio show and was solving some mystery, whatever things. Time zone change, Ilya. Time zone change. Hi, Ilya. Oh, Ilya, by the way.
Hello.
Oh, I'm missing an E. Just putting it again. No, time zone change, and we even moved 1 hour later. So this is now 7 p.m. UTC. This show is always happening now, Wednesdays, 7 p.m. UTC until 9 p.m. UTC. In Central European time, this means it happens from 8 o'clock in the evening to 10 o'clock in the evening. I don't know what this means in US times. I'm sure it's quite inconvenient because it's in the middle of the day, most likely.
It's early-ish. And I think Codex, I think it's around noon, because I think he's in Mountain Time. And for me, I'm on the East Coast. I'm in Canada on the East Coast, and right now it's 3:40.
3:40. 3:40. How can it be 3:40? On my side, it's 2011. Well,
yeah,
8:11.
because I live on an island, and we're far out in the Atlantic, and we have our own time zone, and we are a half hour later than say Halifax or New York.
You are really half an hour later.
Half an hour later. That's it.
What's wrong with you Canadians?
Well, it's only us here in Newfoundland, and it's that's the way it is. And
you see, in Africa, they are cool because they are somehow straight. It's 1 hour later than here, and it's an hour or 2 or 3, but it's not 1.5 hours and 3 minutes.
When people tell me that they find time zones confusing when they're trying to convert between here and Nicaragua or wherever, I always say, like I've got a half hour that I have to calculate in there as well. So
this is totally.
So you can count on your fingers, but then you have to use a half finger
and then some. Exactly, you can count on your fingers and then some. Yeah, great.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. But some I don't know who here is actually at Steamfest right now. I think Hilaire's there.
Diego is live on Steamfest. Diego, how things in Krakow? Everybody is partying now at Steamfest. I'm in delay there as well. You are on delay in the on the partying? This is sad, Diego.
I thought that's all the Italians did with party.
Yes, exactly. Party people. Oh, and I know that Ilya is a party monster out of personal experience.
Yeah, Amos is logged on as well. Isn't Amos at Steamfest as well? We must have some other listeners that are there as well at Steamfest.
Amos.
Didn't you say Rivals was as well?
Rivals was, but he left. He is there. And his brother as well. But he left again. Yeah, Poland is the same. It's Central European time. So it's shortly after 8 in the evening.
Well, I would like to be there at Steamfest. Last year I watched some of the Steamfest, the presentations and things I watched, and then there was a lot of excitement. I would really like to get there. I would like to be able to listen in this year. I'm going to try to, if there's going to be any live streams tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Try to take in some of that.
That's a good question. Diego, do you know about any live streams? And by the way, do you plan or do you have a slot where you're going to be talking about Utopian?
Yeah, I think that it would be. I'd like to listen in, and I'd like to listen on. I'd like to listen on Diego's presentation if he's going to do something, of course. But I'd like to listen in to some of the feedback because we've had a lot of feedback on the hard fork and how things went well or didn't do well, and some criticisms and some suggestions. I would really like to hear that. But one thing about that though. I think that the people that are going to be at Steamfest, I think generally are people that are sold on Steam platform, that they are committed, that they're there, they've made the investment to go to Steamfest. So they may be a little bit less reluctant. Am I right to say that? Maybe reluctant to be critical about anything that's maybe Steam related, versus people that are probably not there are people that may have thrown their hands up and said, you know what, I'm not going. I don't know. What do you think?
That's quite funny, because what happened to me in the morning was that some German community member said to me, "What? You're not going to Steamfest?" Because he was already there, and said, "Yeah, but he really had the hope that I'm raising up the hand all times and start discussions everywhere, basically, because this is what I can do best, obviously." So he was really pissed that I'm not going, but it was not out of that reason that I'm not going. I just seriously don't have the time to go there. It's not that far, it's not that expensive, and it's not that nothing. I seriously don't have no vacations anymore. But yeah, so that's a bad thing.
Yeah, it'd be impossible for me to go as well. It's like when you guys had the Utopian meetup in Italy a little while ago. I just didn't have the vacation time, couldn't go. But yeah, Codex is expensive for us in North America to get over there for sure. Here in Newfoundland, it's expensive to get off the island in the first place, and then to get across the pond, it's even more expensive. So it's I'm kind of holding out for the Utopian jet, but I understand that's in next year's budget.
Yes, I understood this from Diego as well. He wanted to buy a jet, and then he wanted to fly every day around the world, just getting in and dropping off utopians, you know?
Yeah. Globo, it's funny about how every decision that we talk about in here is justified or based on the quality of beer. I like that. Go to Poland, the beer's not that good, so I'm not going to go. How is the beer in Panama anyway? Because for those who don't know, Globo is hailing us from nice tropical Panama. So I suppose you're still there, are you, Globo? How is the beer in Panama?
Very good question. But I think that you showed me once the advertisement of a beer brand in Panama. I think. You do have a beer garden. Then everything's cool, I think.
Tropical beer.
German beer garden original. Yeah, what can happen then? Everything's cool if you got a German beer garden around the corner.
Well, it's exciting that I think it's in the good spirit of open source development to be talking about beer so much. And I apologize to anybody out there that's saying, why are these guys talking about beer so much? But you always hear about free software, free beer. It's you've seen this before. And then when they talk about, well, what does open source mean? Free. And then they always make a comparison to free beer. So, hey, it's kind of written in the canon of open source environment, We got to talk about beer.
Yeah, I'm totally in.
Newfoundland has some good beer here, too.
I can totally relate. I can totally relate to what you said. We should talk about more beer things. Yeah, you got beer as well in Newfoundland, even though you're half an hour behind everything. Or in between everything.
Yeah, but we have a half an hour more to drink. And the beer here is good. The beer here is good. We have some breweries here. We haven't had a lot of breweries here for a long time, but now we have some new ones popping up, and it's good stuff. Some good beer, and of course we have a very famous brewery here. Not famous because of the beer, but famous because of the name. We have a town here in Newfoundland that is an ancient town. It's been here forever, and it's never been renamed. And the name of the town is Dildo. And the name of the brewery is Dildo Brewery.
Oh, that sounds good.
That's the name of the town. And it was named that in like 1600s. And it's still named that. And the brewery is named Dildo Brewery. So it's a very famous brewery. Not because the beer is any good. The beer's okay.
I just wanted to say,
everybody visits there to get their picture taken with the logo and to buy a T-shirt and, whatever. There's a lot of other good breweries around here, too.
Yeah. I just Google it up. Oh, it really is there.
When you come for a visit, I'll take you there. Yeah, I'll take you there when you come for a visit. And yeah, you're all invited. Free tissues, you're invited. SPOM, you're invited. Amy, you can all come. I'll take you to the breweries around here. There's actually a good friend of mine. good friend of mine has a distillery here as well. They make whiskey and they make vodka and stuff. It's really good. They make a really good seaweed vodka. Seaweed gin.
Oh yeah, I saw that. You posted a picture of this once.
Yeah, it's very good. Nice.
Oh, you had a punk band. I had a punk band as well, 20 years ago, but I had one. But it was not called Free Beer. But Free Beer, I think, is a very good name for punk band, for any band. Free Beer is a good concept. It's not just a good name.
I have a question for you there, Jan.
Yeah, ask.
We make a lot of jokes about, we should have open source beer, and we should have open source clothing, we should have open source this and open source that. Why don't we? Maybe we should look at more. We should broaden the topics you talk about in here into more of these proper open source things, like open source recipes and beer, and because there's a lot of that, and we talk about tech in here all the time.
Yeah, this techie thing. I don't know what about this techie thing.
Maybe there's a broader audience for us if we maybe address more stuff like open source beer.
Yeah, stuff like open source beer, like open source gin, and things like that.
Open source gin, yes, yeah, because who doesn't want a distillery in their basement?
Definitely. I actually tried to brew beer once, but seriously, I don't know. I was mistaken, and maybe I'm not a German at all, because I think all Germans need to be able to brew beer. But yeah, it didn't work out. It was really shit. So
yeah, Soundwaves, that's a good point. Open source record label. Now, there's something that I was thinking about a long time ago. It was about a year ago, I suppose. I've spoke about it on the radio show a few times. Not this radio show, but another one. And it was about the open source music sort of concept, where, let's say if Soundwaves Photon was creating an album, and it was going to be I'm quoting, open source album. And he needed a guitar track. Well, I'd say, yeah, I can give you a guitar track. And I record a guitar track and send to him. And then he says, I need some background vocals. And then somebody go, oh, yeah, I can do that. And, everybody gets credited on it. And maybe somebody sends in a guitar track, and some other guy sends in a guitar track. And Soundwaves chooses his favorite. And then he can build his open source music project from musicians who just provide their free beer, free music, and they get credited, but the music is open source, so there would be licensing around it the same as there would be about licensing around open source technology. I don't know. Maybe there's a community for that. Soundwaves, I think me and you got to do something about that. I have an extra half hour of my day to kill, so hey, let's do it.
Honestly, this is a very good idea and a concept. I would really pitch myself in. I had something like this going on with a German community member once, that made a cool track where he wanted me to sing some vocals for. But yeah, I really don't know. I would be really into the thing. If you ever started, Bucky, I can throw in some not so mad skills at guitar and singing.
Jan, I don't mean to get off track here onto music from open source tech stuff, but first time I ever saw Jan, Jedi Geist here, our wonderful host, was through his music, not through any tech stuff, because I heard his music first, and it was cool. I liked it, and then after I said, wait a second, I've seen this guy before. I know his music, and so I saw you first as a musician, and second as a tech person.
To be honest, I never, I had bands and everything, but I never had the urge to put my stuff somewhere into the internet. And the funny thing was that I started with it on Steemit, with Lucifer's, and I don't know who was this other guy doing this open mic thingy. I know that one of those guys was Lucifer, and I found this quite amazing, and this was the first time I thought about putting something recorded of myself up in YouTube or wherever tube. Yeah, it's a good question, Codex. It's Jedi Guys. I don't know. It's a German name, translated to English, and I don't know. It's all bad. You can call me whatever you like.
It's funny, Codex, you bring that up because we have so many different pronunciations of everything that comes on in here, and we had, we get follow BTC News, Jeff that comes in.
Follow BTC News.
Jeff has the big, I don't know if it's from Texas or somewhere down the States. I'm not really up on my American accents, but very thick Southern American accent. And then we have Jan, who's German. And, of course, we have Globo, whose accent is fantastic. I don't know where Globo is from, but that accent is just
from
killer.
Everywhere, basically.
And, I'm in the middle of mixing an album that's Italian. And it's Italian, and I'm listening to it going, I have no idea what's being said on this, but it sounds good. It sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, but you're right, Clovo. There is some accent on Bucky as well, with this bout and out and out about and things like that,
Yeah, well, I try to speak very very proper North American when I'm on here so that people can understand me, but I think if I was out on the street with me buddy, just, having a beer, talking away, you probably wouldn't understand half of what's being said. But,
most likely. Talking about Australia, this brings me to a very important topic. I already explained what we're going to have today, but I think next week or the week after, we are going to have with us, well, not live, but we are going to record a thing with some Australians. It's, I don't know how it's called, TM Lee from CoinGecko. Will be pre-recording with us an interview to be broadcasted live within the show because they have also this very bad time zone issue. They cannot be live on the show. It's really hard for them because it's 8 a.m. or something like that. Netherlands. Yeah, there is Netherlands. It's right on the other side of. Well,
yeah, you see, the I'm from Canada, and we have a bunch of provinces, and the province here is labeled NL, and it's NL because of Newfoundland and Labrador. Yeah, because there's two parts of our province.
But I thought, hey, now this is strange. Are you all named after dogs? Because there is this Newfoundland dog and the Labrador dog.
Well, Hilo is from Quebec, and there's no Quebec dog.
Okay, no.
But
Quebec
I guess it's a French poodle. Cool. French poodle. We are getting so off track. I don't know what this has to do with open source, but anyway.
Nothing. But how was your show yesterday? Did you do Where Are You At show?
No, What Are You At show. We didn't do a show because we had some scheduling issues yesterday evening, so we couldn't do it. But what we did instead was myself and Doghouse, who's my partner in crime when it comes to anything media related. We spent the entire evening in the studio.
Well, that's not bad as well.
We're working on a lot of new music. None of it's any good, but it's a lot of fun.
Well, I think that's the best part in it, isn't it? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I mean, we get together, we drink beer, we play music.
Oh, and you wear this super tight black leather jacket again.
Yeah, leather.
Yeah, leather.
I gotta wear the leather.
Yeah, leather. Yeah, and it's
open
tight.
Open source leather. Well, it's that's a pretty sad scene actually, but but we did some stuff. See, Doghouse is a really great poet, and again, open source. Maybe open source. We need to get some open source poetry going on. Open source music, sound waves. I like. We need to tag everything by key, by time signature, by what we need, by style and language, and then we just need to do it. We need to build this. We need open source music. Yes, Amy, open source leather. I'm not posting any pictures of that because it's a scary thing.
If you're singing, if it sounds somewhat strange, if you're singing when you sing, maybe you need to mix in some open source leather, and it needs to be tight. It needs to be really, it needs to be pressing things together.
OSL, open source leather, yes. Yeah, open source leather.
Yeah,
I don't know where this is going, and I know wherever it's going, I'm not going to look good at the end of it. So I'm not going to stop. I'm going to stop the leather conversation.
The best thing is, Bucky, I only have been able, because again of this fucking time zoning thing, and I said fucking, I know, but it's really bad because this prohibits me from entering your show more often or listening to your show more often because it's in the damn middle of the night for me. So I just watched your show once. And in this show, I really need to now make some small advertisement. It was great, and you wore those leather jacket, and everything was basically hilarious. So yeah, I don't know what happens to me if I watch this show more often, or if you're going to do it more often, and what happens to us, as a community.
Yeah, well, we do it. We try to do it weekly. I can't make any guarantees on quality, and maybe that show that you saw was the anomaly. Maybe that was a good show, oddly enough. But yeah, we have a lot of fun. Well, basically, all we do is we just get together and we just talk like we would normally, play some music like we would normally, and we just turn on the microphone so everybody else can listen. So it's kind of like peeping Tom in on what me and Doghouse do normally anyway.
Yeah, kind of what we're doing right now, even though we are, I don't know how many thousand kilometers away.
Yeah, it's good. But I'm looking at the clock on the wall, which is another great song. I'm not going to sing to you, but it's 4:00 Newfoundland time, and I know that our good friend J.R. Swab, he has to leave in a half hour. So maybe what we should do is get on with J.R. Swab and hear what he has to tell us, because I'm sure he's going to have lots of cool things to tell us all about. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm totally with you. Are you going to pull him or should I?
It's done. Done,
Ooh,
sir.
That's amazing. Hey, JR, how you doing? That's... I don't know. We cannot hear you. Can you, Bucky? Is JR audible to you?
No, I can't hear him either. He's quite shy, He's a quite shy guy. He talks very quiet. It's so quiet you can't hear him. No, still can't hear him.
But he's green.
He's very reserved.
Yeah.
He's green. Yeah.
He's green, though.
There must be a microphone thing. Now, it might be... he's very well versed in this whole Discord thing. But it might be that he might need to restart Discord, because Discord can be a harsh mistress at times.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Sometimes a simple reboot of the software is what's in order. So something to think about. But still can't hear you, JR. So
now
JR
he's
just
gone.
He's popped out, so he'll pop in again in a second.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. Years ago, it used to be that we'd have our software running on something, whatever that would be, Microsoft Word or whatever, and you had to reboot often. When are we going to get to the time when, boy, we don't need to do that anymore? When is it going to get to the point where software is going to be solid?
Yeah, well, I don't know. Open source software never is that super solid. Well, there are some exceptions to the rule out there, but generally software tends to get more and more complex, which is quite, it's the opposite of being solid. Yeah.
JR, let's get some sound from you.
Hey, JR, there you are.
Hey, what's up?
I don't know. You're still sounding like you're in some kind of tin can, but at least you're audible.
I don't know what's going on then. I'm in a very small room, so that could be a reason.
Yeah, I have to say, JR, you tell me if this is correct, but JR is coming to us from a university, so he automatically brings the intellectual level of the show up tenfold.
I don't know what I should do now.
We'll go with that.
Yeah, very good. Are you in a big... I'm now imagining a big, vast, I don't know, library, like
Mahogany?
Yes, mahogany library. By the way, it's very, very complicated word.
Actually, the room I'm in right now is, like I said, tiny. And there's a monitor in front of me. It's like a touchscreen computer thing. That's it. There's a desk. So
okay.
Yeah.
So not this 7. There was this movie 7 that played in some big library, or at least partly in some big library, where Air from Bach was playing in the background. So it's not like that, isn't it? Yeah. Well, you didn't watch a movie.
I think so. I don't know if I've seen that before.
That's bad.
Yeah, I was thinking Hogwarts, but anyway.
Yeah, same thing, same concept.
I have nothing else to add. I have nothing else to add because I'm quite dumb. So I'm going to get off. You can listen. You guys have fun.
Why are you getting off? You're here to ask the cool questions.
I don't have any cool questions to ask. You guys are just. I'm dumb, and you guys are not. And so I'm going to
Yeah, it's open talk. It's open talk. Like Kaliju is saying, it's open talk. You don't need to leave. It's all cool. JR, you had a project, or you have a project. I don't know. Give me some proper update on what you're currently doing with Nebulous or Chivatory, I think it was called in the beginning, no?
Yeah, a different name. And then people were like, "Hey, that name's kind of stupid. You should change it." So I changed it. Nebulous is spelled wrong on purpose for two reasons. Technically, Steam spelled wrong, and I couldn't get the domain name for Nebulous spelled correctly, so we spelled it wrong.
Yeah,
so
that's great.
Nebulus. Yeah, domain names, whatever. But yeah, a lot has changed since we talked last. It was like one of your first shows, I believe, that we were on talking about the first implementation of it, which was a user front end and everything. And that stuff changed. We're actually now focusing on back-end stuff, running a decentralized network for nodes that will basically back up your content, your IPFS content. So D2 videos, D-Sound audio, images, whatever. You can request to be backed up through the Nebulous account on Steam by sending one Steam to the account with the word pin and then like the hash of your pin of your content you want pinned. And the website has a simple interface now that you can go there and it will you just put in your information and then it'll give you a Steam Connect link to shoot you over to the to do it through Steam Connect, or it'll give you like a line of text that you can copy and paste into Steam and send us a transaction that way. The reason why it costs one Steam is because, well, you have to send a transaction, and that Steam is used to pay the nodes on the network that are backing up your content. So it's kind of we're incentivizing the nodes, because without that, then we can't guarantee that someone will actually back up in the first place.
So
yeah.
Let me rewind a bit. Because we all, I think, no, not we all, but some of us know this problem that is existing when you're uploading things into IPFS. They simply, well, I don't know, after some time, period, let's say 1 week, 2 weeks, or even shorter, or a bit longer, things start to disappear. And what you just said is something like a remedy for this curse?
Yeah, it's exactly why I made it. So the things just only disappear whenever someone gets rid of it. So your content's only alive on IPFS as long as at least one node on the network has a copy of it. So when you have these centralized applications that don't have a lot of overhead and money to invest in a lot of servers to hold all your content, they have to end up deleting your content. And with Steam, since you don't get paid after the first week, they feel, well, maybe we should get rid of it so we can make room for new content. And if no one else in IPFS has backed it up or has a copy of it, then whenever someone goes to DTube or DSound to view said content or listen to it, they can't find it because the network can't find it. It doesn't exist anymore. And so with Nebulous...
Yeah, okay. Problem. Now, wasn't IPFS exactly thought as being like also quite resistant to censorship and resistant to forgetting things and things like that? Isn't this exactly the opposite that we're talking about right now?
No, not exactly. So yes, IPFS is the permanent web in the sense. So if you upload a video, you'll get a special hash. And if someone else has that exact same video and they upload it somewhere else, they get the exact same hash. So the content is permanent. So if anyone has the link to that hash, they can get the video as long as the video is on the network. What makes it censorship resistance is that the more people who want to see that content, the more nodes cache the content. But caching is also garbage collected after 24 hours if no one's looking for it. So one thing we're doing with Nebulous is making more nodes around the network actually save the entire copy of it. It's called pinning in IPFS. So what they do is they download they basically take the entire file that you have uploaded to DTube or DSound or wherever, your own server, and they have an entire copy of it on their device. So that whenever IPFS runs this garbage collection, it doesn't get rid of it. It's still there. So a node can find the content, even if DTube or DSound have to get rid of it.
Okay, understood. And this is what you have this one Steam for, if I understood you correctly.
Yeah, and that's basically So we trimmed down Nebulous. I say we, I mean myself. I'm the only one that works on it, actually. I trimmed down Nebulous because we don't want to do too much, right? If we want to, we can take on that Unix philosophy and say, hey, we're going to do one thing and do it well. And the one thing we're trying to do well is have a network of nodes that you can upload and to your content to, through, I guess, and it backs it up, so you don't have to worry about losing it. Kind of give that stability of YouTube in a decentralized nature. And so we got rid of the front end stuff where you would like be able to upload to Nebulous and be able to like have a profile. All that stuff I felt was competing with the other apps that exist already, and we weren't trying to be an app to begin with. We think there's more value in us helping the apps that already exist, like Instagram, Snapseed, DSounds, YouTube.
Yeah, so this was okay. So now I'm back on track, because this was initially what you were thinking on putting on a complete front end, just like, well, not just like, but yeah, in comparison to DTube or whatever. And this is where you turned around now a bit both and said, okay, obviously there are already very good front ends, and I'm concentrating on keeping the things available.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I never like planned to be a competing front end for anything. I just giving people had like ideas like, oh, I want to make a playlist, I want to do this, I want to do that. I can't do in these other networks or other apps. So I was giving them that like satisfaction of being able to do certain things. And then I just realized that I couldn't justify the time on it because I had to decentralize the application, I guess the network, I could call it, and I couldn't. I kept having to put out fires for all this other stuff, and I wasn't able to work on the stuff that mattered. So I decided to deprecate everything. So it's technically still there, and if you have the link to your profile, you can still get it. You can still upload if you have a profile, but an account, I mean. But you can't make an account anymore, and you can't it's not going to make new information and stuff like that. So we're just focusing on providing a network to keep the content that's uploaded to these networks, or any content on FKFS.
Yeah, that's totally making sense, because it has been and still is quite a pain in the ass if you really are a content creator and are investing a lot of time in creating cool videos and cool stuff to upload, and then after a very short while it seriously is dropping off the radar and it's falling out of IPFS, and so it's not available anymore, and you need again to go to, I don't know, whatever YouTube there is, and to put it up there so that it's really safe. This is really a disappointment a bit.
Yeah, it is, and this is kind of something that I think Nebulous can solve. There is an issue that I'm not a marketer or anything. I build stuff that solve my problems. Because I was having that problem too.
Yeah, I know that. I know that.
We need marketers to have people actually use it, because we have nodes and it exists. We probably have 7 to 10 nodes that exist out there already. People already spun up a node on a server, Linux server, and they're running. It's just and no one's getting paid for it because no one's asking to have content pinned. But that's partly my fault for not marketing it and not promoting it as much as I should. But that's kind of not my expertise anyway. But
well, you need to be born that way, You need to be born a marketer. If you're not, then you're not.
Yeah, and so this project Nebulous could very well be the one project that makes the DTubes and the DSounds and the Snapseeds actual competitors to the YouTubes and the SoundClouds and the Instagrams. Because people don't want to have to think about backing up their content. They want to upload it once and be done with it. That's what they're used to, and so we need to give them that similar experience. I'm actually in talks with
this was what I was just exactly.
PRC.
This was what I'm just hinting at. Are you or did Hyman Danger or vice versa, you with him already take up connections? Because obviously this would be a service that they could offer to their content creators, so that they really don't need to care about it. Running in the background, you would be there to save all the shit.
Yeah. I do have contact with him in Danger. Talked to him a lot actually recently, and he thinks it's a cool project. I talked to PRC extensively one day. Like we've always chatted, like talked about what his needs are, what he needs, some things that I could do with my project that would make his life easier, because it costs money to run servers, and so yeah, he's very much on board. And
sounds good.
I just basically at this point in time, I need to find time to implement some things that we can do. But the easiest way to go about this is easily just like putting a button on a dsound page and being like, support this content by helping back it up. And so a user listening to the content could donate one on Steam and have that content backed up.
Yeah, exactly. That would be the easiest thing. Like just having to push or to click one additional checkbox or whatever, so that the people are safe. And how is it working right now? Do you have a web page where I can send the link to, or do you? How is it operating right now?
Yeah. So the website we have, again, it's very rudimentary because I'm not a designer. I'm a back-end server kind of coding guy.
Which makes you
nebulous.app.
Much more sympathetic, marketers. But by the way, Clobo, this is a great dance that this kid is doing there. It's really cool, and it's a marketer. Yeah, I agree.
This is Bucky here, JR. I have an observation and I have a question. The observation, first of all, is when people put the animated GIF, the images, these videos up in the Discord, I can't stop looking at it, and I get so distracted. It's not a criticism. Keep them coming. But it just shows to show that I'm just like I'm like a 3-year-old. Anyway, but my question I had for you, JR, was, and maybe you've said this already, but if somebody puts a one Steam in to like, let's say, back up something on DTube or back up something of their own, how long will it stay? That one Steam, is that something that needs to be paid maybe once every month or a couple months, or is that something that's a one-time fee would cover that for eternity? What's the duration on that?
Yeah, so the idea is right now it's one Steam because Steam's cheap. Once Steam goes over $1, we're gonna make it one Steam back dollar just for consistency. But yeah, that's one Steam per content. So like your one video, one Steam, it'll push out and be backed up. That's what we have running right now. That's what the nodes are all agreeing to. That's what they all seem okay with. There's not going to be a continuation thing at this point in time. There has been a feature request to be able to remove content, so like send a Steam to have your content removed from any node that has it listed. But that's not implemented yet.
But that sounds also very intriguing.
Yeah, it's a good option. I have it in my my GitLab issues list to one day actually implement into the software. So yeah, it's a one-time fee.
But that's super cheap, isn't it? One Steam, I think one Steam is, it's almost nothing.
JR, this is Bucky again. When we all know about ones like the Wayback Machine, and there are some other archiving, third-party archiving services that have been on the net for a long time. Some of these, probably all of them, are affected by through censorship. Like I know that the Wayback Machine, there's been reports. I know Don has told me some examples of times when the Wayback Machine has been altered because of political pressure or legal pressure that they wanted things removed, and things were removed. Do you see that in what you're doing? Do you see that this service would be susceptible to that sort of pressures? Like if somebody's running for president, but they had some kind of stupid video up from, say, 10 years earlier, and they're running for president, and they say, well, I want to have that removed, wiped out. Do you think that would be you'd be susceptible to that?
So this is actually something I thought about, because I'm very much into freedom of speech, open source, all that stuff, security, and I built Nebulous to inherently have no knowledge of what the content is. So right now, since we don't have the removal feature, we can't remove anything. And I don't even know if I want to add in the removal feature, because then someone could just request it to be removed without being their own content. So the idea is, because you're sending us a request to pin in the hash, we don't know what that hash is, what the content is, or anything. It's not our job to know. We don't care to know, because if we do know, then we're susceptible to copyright laws and all that other garbage that we don't want to deal with. Now, if somebody comes to us and says, hey, there's this piece of content, we think it's hosted on your nodes, one, they have to prove that it's on our nodes, which is not easy to do. And two, they have to say, okay, that's on our nodes, so you have to go to the node. Like I, the person who started Nebulous, can't do anything about it. I can't go to that person's node and delete it. So you have to go to every single node that has that content and request that specific person who runs that node to delete said content. And the more people that pin that content, the harder that becomes.
Yeah, that makes sense. And but if you put in the feature for delete, would that make that the deleting of content, like we're saying, for censorship reasons, more accessible? That make it less robust?
Yeah, I don't that's the reason why I haven't put it in yet, because I don't know. It could be easily abused, and I don't have a good way to keep it from being abused. So right now, like Bucky, you can find a video on YouTube and say, I like this video a lot. This should be out forever. You should go into the settings, grab the IPFS hash, and then request Nebulous to pin it. And you could pay for the pin, and that just does the thing. And at this point, I don't have a good way of doing the same thing with removal, but making it so that I know that it's the person who made the content. And there might not be a good way to do that. It might be impossible. So that's why I haven't implemented the removal, because the same way you could request someone's service their content to be backed up, you could also request their content to be removed, and I wouldn't be able to check to make sure that the person who created it actually wants it removed, or if it's somebody, a nefarious person that wants it removed. So yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah, that sounds like a very complicated problem too. I mean, it sounds like a very ethical problem. Because I know, like you're saying, you're big on freedom of speech and not to be pushed around in that regard. Putting in a feature that could very well weaken that. Yeah, I could see that would be a moral question for yourself. So it's tough stuff. But it's good to see. It's nice to know that you take that so seriously, rather than being cavalier. Because sometimes we see some of these services put up in a very cavalier attitude, where not my problem, and well, this is good. I'm glad you're really considering this.
Thanks. It's been yeah. It takes some time to think about that kind of stuff. Maybe it's because of just my ethics, my morals when it comes to technology, and just being very much involved in open source for many years now, and just loving privacy and all that. That kind of just by default, it's in my brain and in my mind, on my mind all the time. So yeah, like at this point, I'm not implementing any removal feature, just because it's too easy to be abused. And what I'm dealing with right now actually is having to make add in some code that will actually check for nodes to see if they actually have the content pinned that they said they pinned, because the last thing we want is someone to pin content, get paid for that content, and then delete it the next day. So that's the challenge I'm working on now. But luckily, there's very few nodes, and we all are working together, and they're, as far as I can tell, honest people that are running nodes right now. So we have other challenges to overcome, and I've been super swamped, so I haven't gotten very far on it.
Yeah, I've heard that so often with open source projects like this, where they're just so compelling. There's probably not a commercial business model, but they're so compelling that you want to do it, but it's hard to find the time. And of course, that's what Utopian comes in, because you said earlier about how you're not a marketer, you're not a dancing baby like Globo posted up. But again, like we said last week, I think we had a long talk about this. These are the things that Utopian does. So, the marketing and maybe even some of the development. I don't know. You're well up to speed on all that. But it's for anybody out there that is a project owner, or maybe would like to be a project owner and like to start something that's really cool. be sure to connect with Utopian, because that's the sort of thing that we do. We help open source projects to get documentation written, marketing done, code written, all kinds of wild and wonderful things. So
exactly.
Anybody
we're not just there to develop and fire and forget. We are there to do a lot of things. We have, I think 15 possible contribution opportunities, going from doing marketing actions over documentation, translations, development, graphics, music, whatever. You name it, there's an open source project out there that needs it, I'm sure. Exactly, Codex, not just Steam projects. Totally not. We are not focused on the Steam blockchain. We are for sure at home on the Steam blockchain, but that does not necessarily mean that we are not going to support any other open source projects. That's definitely not true.
That's right. And last week we actually had an Ethereum blockchain project that was on here, Chain Breakers. It was a really cool project.
And they were quite. By the way, they had this open crowd sale going on, and they were quite successful in it. So they had some epic weapons, and they were all sold out in the minute one.
Wow! That's crazy.
Yeah. So
that's really exciting. Yeah, and we also had I mentioned at the beginning of the show, we had Valley Modules, which is this sound synthesis software open source module, which has not on any blockchain.
Boy, you said sound synthesis.
I did sound synthesis.
You did say this on purpose. You trained. You checked this before. If you can do that,
I'm a very good speakethist.
This was crazy. This was like doing the salto mortale, just unprovoked sound synthesis.
Sound synthesis, yeah, and so you're exactly right. It's and like Codex said, it's not only on the Steam blockchain. So there's projects going on all over the place, and with our new version 2 of Utopian that's coming out very soon, that's going to be even more evident.
Yeah, this is, by the way, you did not say this correct. It needs to be soon TM. Because this is trademark for Utopian version 2 front end.
Yeah, soon TM. It's not fake news. It's coming.
Yeah,
that's version 2 of Utopian.
And it's going to be very soon. Soonish.
Soonish. Yes, soonish.
Yeah, JR, I'm really this is great now because we can revisit this, I don't know when we talked. Yeah. Very cool. This is good. Codex. I hate those things that are really breaking my, it was like Bucky said. I'm just this childish person
can't stop looking at the raccoon.
Yeah.
Oi.
My goodness. What I want to say. Again, we had the possibility now to revisit what JR was doing, and it started out to being in the first moment it started out looking like a competitor to DTube, and now he's doing some not totally different, but he does some very important support stuff, which is maybe even more important than doing another front end that is just looking like DTube, maybe. So this is really now. Therefore, I really like this revisiting things, because obviously things are moving even without us looking. So I really like this attitude of the show tonight. Thanks a lot, JR.
Yeah, JR, thanks a lot for that. I also I just want to make one more little comment that's like personally related here. I work in a educational institution, and for some strange reason, IPFS is blocked, and I've been trying to get some answers as to why would the entire educational network with 30,000 people accessing it, why would we block IPFS? I don't know sometimes.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it probably has to do with they can't regulate the content, and but you can try different gateways. So there's IPFS.io that you can use, IPFS.io/IPFS. You can use gateway.ipfs.io. You can even use Cloudflare now. So Cloudflare-ipfs.com/IPFS, then the hash.
My goodness.
It might be
you do know this all out of your head. What's wrong?
Yeah, I just spent a lot of time with IPFS.
yeah, not his first rodeo. Not the first rodeo.
No, sure not.
Yeah, that's great. I didn't write any of those down, but I'll listen to the recording.
Yeah, that's because it was seriously much too fast and reciting, you know.
Oh, I'm just distracted because Rondon showed up. You know, I'm distracted because Rondon showed up, and Ron is the. I would have liked for Ron to be here earlier for the discussion about the privacy and stuff. But anyway, that's it. He's here now.
Hey, Ron, how you doing? I hope everything's all right.
And JR, I know that you're on a bit of a schedule, so don't let us keep you. If you need to run off, just you can do what you need.
Yeah, so we're doing it the other way around. We're ending this in a proper way, Bucky. So thanks a lot, JR, for you being here, and it was a great pleasure having you. And really, I really like this coming back and revisiting how the projects are evolving. And like Bucky has said, we have a lot of people that are concentrating about marketing efforts, about, I don't know, doing things, talking to people, ringing the bell, whatever you want to call it, or dancing like this baby did in this GIF. And if you need help, if you want to help us, if you want us to help you, so this is the way, want us to help you, just reach out to Bucky, me, Diego, whomever you know, and even the pink princess Ilana that sadly cannot be here today because she's in Krakow as well. She for sure will as well help you with everything that you could need. Thanks a lot, JR. Have fun in this highly intelligent university of yours. And it was I was very happy that you have brought up the level of intelligence in this live on air room, definitely, because Bucky and me, we are just old braggers.
We're just cogs in a wheel.
Exactly, but you're not. So thanks a lot. Even though you lost connection now and you cannot talk to us, it was
I think I'm good now.
Ah, yeah, you are. Yeah. Thanks a lot for you being around.
Yeah, cool. I could. Yeah, I had to leave the room I was in, so it lost connection for a second. But yeah, it was good being on. I appreciate you guys spending the time to talk about what I'm doing, and I'm always open for questions. If anyone wants to join Discord, just message me and I'll give you the link and stuff.
Yeah, which I think we had the Discord link as well in here in the MSP Waves audience. Thanks a lot, JR, and have a good day, because it's obviously still a day for you. For me, it's in the middle of the night.
Yes, it is. It's 3 p.m. Thanks,
Okay.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
So have fun. Thanks a lot, JR. So after having talked to JR now, this was great. A great thing. I really love this revisiting thing. Bucky, we need to do this more often.
We do. These projects, they really evolve. And I was thinking when he was saying earlier about how, he got away from the front end and started just working on what he's doing now. As a musician, you go to try to write a piece of music and it starts off being a reggae tune, and before you know it, it evolves into a country and western thing, and then the next thing you know, it's industrial punk.
That's exactly what I thought as well, because you're just doing what you wanted to do, and then things turn out to be different, and then maybe you even, I don't know, you find a different notion, and then things change, and I really like to see that. So project has not been disabandoned. It just changed a bit the direction where this is going to. Yeah, and I agree. If you're coming from where you started, I don't know, you started with some strange music. Bucky, where did you this music thing that you just made up start? With reggae?
You could start anywhere, I guess, but it all ends up in industrial punk. That's where it all ends up eventually.
Okay. Well, that's very, very important, that everything ends up.
It sounds like a washing machine with a bowling ball in it. But I really think that there's I really think that interesting and like compelling projects all have their own natural ebb and flow. Like they all kind of go in their own direction, and you shouldn't fight it. I believe that a good project owner can read the environment that they're developing in and be able to adapt the project to best suit the environment and the needs of the audience. And I think that we saw that with JR because his project, like he must have realized that, well, this is not doing exactly what I wanted to do, and it's not doing exactly what the audience needs. So he's able to change direction to make it more appropriate. That, and I'm not going to say there's nothing wrong with that. I'm going to say that's entirely right.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
Being stubborn and just saying no, I want to make a washing machine that washes bowling balls, and that's it.
And if you don't need it, well, then don't buy it. But I will build it.
Yeah, nobody's
until
gonna
my
buy
very
it.
end.
Yeah, you'll go down in flame.
Yeah, exactly. So totally. This is really, if you're listening to the audience and you're seeing, okay, how does this all develop? How does the market develop? Do they need another front end, or what is the need that is currently out there, which is definitely for the content creators, for things to be available even after, I don't know, a month, 2 months, or 3 months, or even half a year. So this is the need that is out there, and it's extremely cheap with one Steam for, I don't know, a lifetime from a feeling point of view.
That is cheap. That's why I asked if there's a time limit on that. Because one Steam seems really cheap, yeah. And I remember back a year ago, my ancient times when when DTube really started moving along, and people were saying, well, what's going to happen to the content after, and somebody said, oh, somebody will fix that. Somebody will solve that problem. Well, you just met the guy who's working on that. So
exactly.
I find that's great that he'd take on that task to do that.
Yeah, so totally. And on the other hand side, if you really can strike a deal with I'm in Danger or any other front end owner to make this as super easy as possible for the guy that's creating the video, or for the content creators, this is going to be, it's going to be blast.
Yeah. And if it's integrated like that, it's a no-brainer. It'll work.
Definitely.
It'll work. And I know what he's saying, too, about getting away from the front end, because there's already these people. There's organizations out there. They're already there that have established audiences like DTube. So I'm in Danger has however many people using DTube now. Why reinvent the wheel? Why create a new front end where you're going to have to go to and manually save your stuff? Whereas if incorporating it into the existing community, it's
sure. This is the much easier way, and with the front end, you buy a lot of shit, because the front end it looks much more easy than it is.
You are exactly right. Can you imagine having to deal with a front end, the maintenance of a front end? I
can imagine, but I don't want to.
I have a couple, I will read it. I will say it again. I'm dumb. Okay. I would be the first to admit, but I have a couple of pages that I maintain, that are, WordPress, just basic pages,
Yeah.
And just that alone for me was so much mess, so much fool. So many times I've gotten, malware and not only that, like trying to get something that people can use effectively, and it was just such a pain. I took it all down. It's such a pain. So having to build a front end and maintain a front end that's effective and like mainstream, and you can have 10,000 users on it a day.
That's the hell of a work. It's really not easily accomplished. So I totally understand this notion to get away from this obviously not needed front end and do things and concentrate on things that are needed. So this is making total sense to me. Perfect move. And if you now can strike a deal with I'm in Danger, it would be really a win-win-win situation. Not just for him or the project or I'm in Danger and DTube, but also and mainly for the content creators. So very cool idea. The only thing, and this is really what JR needs to do now, is he needs to have those dancing babies, a bit. But even that is put into relation when he really can strike a deal with DTube or Vim. Then everything's cool, and he doesn't even need to do marketing.
Yep.
So even perfect, because they already got the community going on, and they would just seriously. If I would have just to pay 1 Steam for having the video available forever, if I go to the German community and tell them that, I don't know. I know 10, 15, 20 content creators that would directly do that for every video they are uploading.
Yeah, Codex, that's a legitimate name. I'm in danger. He's the guy who he's a project owner for DTube. You know, I did some scratch in my head too at the beginning of that one when I first.
You're totally crazy, Codex.
A while ago.
Oh, I'm so happy that you're back.
Yeah, it was strange stuff. I don't know how people pick these names. I've been using Bucky Turtle for years and years. I don't know who picks a name like Jedi Geis.
I don't know.
How many goats do you know that can wield a lightsaber anyway?
Lightsaber? Maybe none. But you know, when I picked the name, I was 11-ish. So
I thought you were going to say intoxicated. You were 11 and intoxicated.
Well, I don't know about intoxicated, but I was quite young and a bit maybe naive, and I was searching for a cool hacker cracker name, you know, and this was this came up my mind. So you talk again about being dumb.
I think Jedi Geis is a great name. I think it's fantastic. I love it. I love some of the names, and you know, some of the names are like a long time ago when I was playing EverQuest. People used to put up names like, you know, Bringer of Blood and
that's definitely super cool.
Fist Power, yeah.
So
I used to get such a kick out of it. So I used to try to come up with names that were kind of not really. They were sort of in that vein, but they weren't really serious. And one of my ones I used to love using was Blood Pudding.
Oh yeah, Blood Pudding.
Because I like blood puddings, and they're good. Almost sounds like the Bringer of Death sort of name, but it's actually a nice breakfast meal.
Yeah, it is. I definitely
and probably healthy too, I would imagine.
Yeah, I imagine.
Do you have blood puddings in Germany? Like,
no.
you have those?
No.
No?
No, we don't.
Oh, really? Well, see, all the blood pudding is it's like a sausage, and it's probably like maybe an inch and a half in diameter, but it's like a sausage, and it's cut into like just segments, like little small patties. So you fry them in the pan, and it's just meat, but with some some seasoning, and then they add blood to it to make it like dark, so it's really dark, right? And the meat, but it's just blood in it. So that's a blood pudding, and they're really good. We eat them here all the time. They're great. They're excellent, and But I heard that. I thought they were in Germany. I thought a German friend of mine told me years ago it was called Blot pudding or something like that.
If you talk about Blutwurst, then yes, this is a German dish.
What is that?
Blutwurst.
What is that?
It's a sausage made of blood, basically.
That must be the same thing then.
And it's kind of I'm not eating it, but Blutwurst, just with a T instead of a D, and then you're totally correct, Codex.
I'd eat that.
I can imagine. That's perfect, Codex. And basically, blood pudding is really Scottish. This is what I was thinking as well, Globo. It's not Newfoundlandish thingy. I think you imported that.
See, here in Newfoundland, we're a hardy bunch. We're hardy. So we'd eat anything. We eat hearty food. Puts hair on your chest. Blood puddings.
Yeah, bloodtarian. Okay, I can understand that. I can relate to that.
I can imagine like Scotland and Newfoundland has a lot in common. We don't have a lot of sun. We have a lot of fog, a lot of cold. There are a lot of sheep around here, and
that's
they
true.
Run real fast. Sheep run fast.
You do really have a lot in common. That's true. Never thought about that, but yeah. Following down that road, it's totally clear.
I apologize to the audience for veering off into these moments of insanity, and I apologize, and I will try not to let us do that anymore, or let me do that anymore. But before I do, I think that this is once more a call for open source recipes
for
blood pudding.
Pudding.
Open source blood pudding recipes. What do you think? Or Blutwurst. Is that what it was?
Blutwurst. Yeah, Blutwurst.
Blutwurst.
I mean, open source blood. This is going down a complete different way now, Codex. If we are talking about open source blood, this could also be like I don't know, the blood donation thingy.
Globo, I can't stop looking at that image.
Yeah.
Again. You gotta stop putting these things up. I can't concentrate.
What is? Yeah, me too. Is this a Pokemon ball as a nose? It's looking like a Pokemon ball. Now
like
I'm really
like creme brulee or something.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I'm missing Krim. I'm totally missing Krim. But I think she's in Poland as well.
Yeah, a lot of our regular listeners are in Poland, and as everybody knows, Ilana Texlut is she's in Poland, and she was going to try to get on today. We were reaching. We were trying to find a way we could get her on live.
Yeah,
from
we
the
were
floor,
pulling and reaching and pulling and
yeah, wasn't to be. Well, you know what? She still has 45 minutes. She could always pull something out of her hat.
Yeah,
and show up. You never know.
Yeah, with Ilana, one thing that's totally clear is with Ilana, since I'm working with Ilana, you never know. This is as a basic concept, you never know what's going to happen next. So that's quite distracting and confusing at times, but it also has its positive sides,
Polanoid. What is a Polanoid? Is that somebody who lives in Poland who thinks that they're out to get them? That's somebody who's paranoid, but they live in Poland? Polanoid?
Yeah, maybe.
Or is that a camera? It's a camera. It's made in Poland. It takes instant pictures. A Polanoid. Oh, my.
Oh, my. We're drifting. We are totally drifting into strange directions. Before we are drifting too far.
Now, I will say that we have Codex here, and Codex has to do a presentation in 45 minutes. So we probably should get on to hearing all the cool things he's doing, because I understand he's doing some really cool stuff.
Exactly, but does presentation mean that we are going to have to lean back, or that we are allowed to lean back and just listen? Or because this was his concept, back in the day, shut up and listen, I'm doing a presentation now.
I don't know. Is Codex, you planning on doing a presentation or for us, or did you want to have a chit chat?
Oh, no, we can talk. I'm not doing a presentation for you guys.
Oh, that's bad.
You were going to do... Okay, right. So you have to do a presentation after. And this presentation, is it about shoes or is it about open source?
It's about open source. Yeah, no, it's about my project Spark, which you guys may remember from before I was working on. It's kind of a point-of-sale terminal.
Yeah, let me try to introduce it out of my memory. We had talked about, I don't know, 3 months ago, or maybe even 4 or 5 fish something. Time flies. And you had this project called Steam Pay there was another project called Steam Pay as well. So yes. I got a bit confused, but now it's not called Steam Pay any longer, so I can remember. And it's called Spark Payment, and you had this point of sale terminal idea thingy going on. Okay, I'm back. Very good.
Yes, that's it. It's moved away from Steam, unfortunately, and like I was telling you guys before when we were sound checking, I love the community, love the blockchain. I'm not a fan of the leadership in the Steam community, so it is what it is, Well,
like we said, there is no need to do anything directly with the Steam blockchain. This is open source.
Right, and the way that decentralized systems work, you either I acquire a bunch of Steam power and then, vote with it, or I don't have to be a part of it.
No,
or I deal with it. And so
exactly,
kind of where I went. But it's not a big deal. I hold no, I'm not holding anything against anybody really. It is what it is, and the project just took a direction that I didn't want to go. So that's
but
that's,
before we're talking about Spark, and by the way, I'm just surfing on the website that you put in as a link into the audience talk, and this looks quite cool. But before we talk about that, one step back. So what was your criticism? The main criticism point that you had? I heard that something about half for 20 and things just not went the way that you wanted to go.
Yeah, the main problem that I had was with the resource credit system. And I won't get into the whole.
No, you don't. Wait, you don't need to go down the whole road, but just as an overview.
I love this sound waves, by the way. Just a quick sidestep. This open source everything. I love that.
Yeah, that's great.
That's good. But yeah, no, it's just the resource credit system. I wasn't a fan of it. I thought the way that it was worked before was just fine. And I'm starting to think like, okay, so now you have a blockchain, a great blockchain. Then you have, okay, so you have 3 currencies on this blockchain, which made sense. You have Steam, Steam Power, and Steam Dollars. Steam makes sense because it's the tradable asset that's like similar to gold, right, or something. Its value goes up and down. You can trade. Then you have Steam Power, which makes sense because it's like vested Steam. It's a vested interest. You've agreed to lock it away for a certain amount of time in exchange for some benefits, thus stabilizing the price a bit. That makes sense. Steam Dollars originally was, the value of $1, so it was the stable token backed by Steam. Made sense. Now you have Steam Dollars, which are not backed or are not price pegged to $1, so useless. And you also have resource credits now, which is a completely different thing for bandwidth. And then you have Steam Power, which no longer is bandwidth but only voting power. Are they back to $1, Ron? I don't know. I mean, I've been away from.
No,
I've been away since the 20s.
No,
so.
they are not really packed. They are close, but I don't think that they are technically really packed to $1.
Okay, well, if they're close, that's all you can ask. If that's the goal, see, for a while there, they just didn't care. It was like, oh no, let it go higher, and I get it because it meant more rewards for everybody. But as a developer, who found utility in the token value that's value was close. That's something that I wanted, and I felt like the leadership of Steam, the Steam community, Steam and Inc. and Ned and all those guys, I felt like that was kind of their responsibility to make sure that it maintained that. Otherwise, I don't see the point in it. So now you got 4 currencies on one blockchain, which each has their own purpose, and I'm okay with that. But just make sure that they actually have a purpose. And
well, it's gonna getting much more complicated when SMTs are coming along, because then it's not going to be 4. But that's a different topic. We don't want it to go to. I don't want it to talk about too much about Steam and why you left it. But I thought maybe your reasoning is appealing to others as well, and there is, it makes sense asking.
Yeah. For sure. And again, like I said, I have nothing against Steam or the community. I love it, and I still think that it's great technology. And that fractal logo is amazing as well. But
yeah, that's totally amazing.
Yeah. So it just boils down to, I just had some disagreements, and I'm such a small player. There was nothing I could really do about it, so I had the option to go elsewhere, which I did choose to do.
Yeah. So where do you go, and why the renaming? Well, renaming was easy then, because you're not longer on the Steam blockchain.
Yeah. At that point, So I chose to go back to Dash, which I had been doing development for Dash for a long time anyway. So all I did was just refocus my efforts. I was doing multiple. So when I had created Steam Pay, it was a fork of Dash Pay, which was my original project. And so I was maintaining both forks separately. And what I ended up doing was just shutting down the Steam fork and renaming everything to Spark anyway. So.
Okay, understood.
Yeah, so the point of sale is for Dash, specifically because of their instant send capabilities. Other than that, the project is really. I've got quite a few users now, several thousand, as well as I've made a lot of progress in it in general, just like adding a lot of things. M1 asks if Spark connected to a currency. You mean like a fiat currency?
Well, it's obviously running on Dash, but that's
yeah. It runs on Dash. It can be cashed out for a number of fiat currency, definitely. I think there are 14 fiat currencies that it can be cashed out through relatively easily. It has uphold.com integration, so wherever Uphold works. And there are also, there's how many? There's 180 currencies in the world. There's 167 exchange rates that I support. So yeah, I suppose you can flag with Dash. I don't know how that works, but you definitely can.
Yeah, so solvency for sure is related to Dash as well. But okay, so how did it evolve? You having now back, or you just cut off the fork for Steam Pay, or for the Steam blockchain, and now are back on Dash. And if I follow the thingy that I'm seeing on your website, there is an app that you can obviously put onto your smartphone in order to make payments with. Is this what I...
Right. There's also a web app. If you look in the upper right-hand corner, there's a web app.
Oh, yeah, there's a web app as well.
And access it on the web. Yeah, I suppose I could, Ron. I could definitely get paid via Utopian to develop for Dash.
Yes, sure he can. There's no problem at all. We are not... Yeah. We are blockchain agnostic, basically.
Yep. Which is... I mean, obviously my rewards would be in Steam, but I have no problem with that.
Yeah, okay. This is something that we cannot do. We cannot use the voting power that we are having in rewarding with Dash. This is not working, but yeah.
Well, not yet, anyway.
Yeah.
Somebody could come up with some type of shapeshift integration or Changelly integration that would cash the rewards out for whatever. I mean, it's definitely possible, but
yes, sure.
No, I left 6 Steam on my account, Ron, so that I can post still.
Yeah, clever you.
I left 6 Steam, but I know I still have 1,000 some in there. But I left 6 Steam powered up. You know what I mean?
Understood. Yeah. So, and this now where can I pay with that? How is this all working? Come on, give us an introduction.
Okay. So. You pay with using Dash, and obviously you can cash out.
So I need to have a Dash wallet somewhere.
Yep.
Yeah.
You have to have a Dash wallet, which actually is interesting. I don't know. I didn't recognize this problem when I was in the Steam ecosystem, but Dash is like where they get their exchange rates and stuff is so fractured. Everybody gets exchange rates from different places, which is funny. Even their 2 core wallets, they have an iOS wallet and an Android wallet, and both of them have different exchange rates. So if you send $1 from the Android wallet to the iOS wallet, you end up getting like 94 cents or something.
Well, that's funny.
Yeah. It's the same amount of Dash, but it just reads differently in your wallet. So I actually have begun a separate side project that I call Dash Rates. It's an API that allows everybody to get the same exchange rates, because I'm not sure why everybody... It's tough for me as a point of sale. I want my rates to be exactly what the wallet's rates are so that people are paying the right amount. And
yeah, understood.
And if they're both on different rates, I don't know how I can fix that. So I've begun an initiative within the Dash community to move everybody over to my API, which will allow them all to get the same rates.
Yeah, that makes sense totally. So you need to have a Dash wallet, obviously, and having some Dash to pay something would be very beneficial as well. And then you're somehow either downloading the app that is for
download it.
iOS.
It's either Android, iOS. There's desktop apps for Windows, Mac, and Linux, and there's a web app. So basically everywhere. And
cool.
Yeah, the cool thing is, at least for the merchant, for the store owner, is there are no private keys installed. So all you do is put in your address and create a password, and this doesn't connect to a server anywhere. It just remembers the hash of the password on the device. So that way your employees cannot change the address that it goes to, for example. But you just put in your address, and it creates payment invoices. I don't forward the payment. I don't take a chunk of the payment. It's completely decentralized, and if I were to go away completely, it continues to work. So, which is the case. It's the same case for the code for Steam Pay Wallet and the old Steam Spark point of sale. That code it probably needs a few updates after, but the code is on GitHub and it's all open. So, anybody can take that code and do something with it. It's licensed to where somebody could not only take it and change it, but even profit off of it. And I don't care.
That's funny, but how do you? Well, there are some costs attached to it. Everything has some costs. How do you finance that, or is it not needed because you're doing this it's your big hobby?
Yeah, well, actually, there aren't any costs with this. So there's some costs, and I'll explain. So the Android app has no costs because it was a one-time $25 lifetime developer fee.
Oh,
so
okay, yeah.
I've already paid for that. So to put the app on the Play Store costs nothing. The app it does all the calculations and everything locally. So and the only information it gets is off of the blockchain. It talks to no servers or anything like that except for blockchain nodes. So there's no cost for me to run that. The cost, however, is associated with me running the website and the web app, because the web app is hosted online, and that's actually hosted on GitHub, so that's free as well. The cost comes in the domain. So the getspark.com is where the cost comes in, which was like $12 a year. So the costs are actually really low. And then the Dash network having its decentralized treasury has paid for most of my development time.
Well, that's very cool and convenient on the other hand side.
Yeah. And I actually got my first ever contributor yesterday on the Dash Rates API. Never had anybody contribute to one of my pieces of software, but finally it happened.
That's cool. So what are you programming this in? What language is that?
It is in JavaScript.
Okay.
And I'm using Vue as a framework.
Vue?
Yep, Vue.js.
Oh yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah,
cool.
I actually like Vue as a framework a lot.
Yeah, it's a cool dialect. I'm so close, really so close, in giving up my reluctancy to learn JavaScript just because of Vue. With Angular and React and all those shitty things, I thought, hey, I'm doing the right thing. I'm not learning JavaScript. I'm sticking to something else. But Vue might bring me to that point in time where I really will like to learn it. Might.
Yeah, you should. Do you program with JavaScript at all?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
but I didn't want to.
If you use JavaScript at all, definitely look at Vue. It's super duper easy to use, and I think makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I heard this as well. We had once Bucky. Who was this guy from the Quasar framework? Nothing is Magic, I think he was called. Because Quasar is a framework that is basing on Vue, and I don't know. There is frameworks upon frameworks upon frameworks, and he was sounding very cool. And he always or almost got me convinced to learn Vue. I even have a book now. Well, it's not a book; it's like a printout of a tutorial because I'm an old guy and I need to read paper things. Yeah. So I'm almost tempted to go down that road.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it.
Oh, well, that's a second voice pointing me into this clear direction of learning Vue. Okay, so but you had also notions about this wallet and this Spark payment being a good idea for vendors as well, not just for you and me, like being the normal John Doe. But for the merchants as well, for the vendors, for people selling things, or did I misunderstand this in the first place?
So sorry, I was reading the comments here.
Yeah, me as well. No, I was just saying you wanted to put this out as well, this payment options for merchants, for vendors, for people selling things and making a business out of it, because. How did it go? Is there already some stores accepting it, or?
Yeah, definitely. So far, I have just pulled metrics yesterday. Well, not yesterday, on the 1st, I guess, of November, and we have. Let me try and pull up my chart here. pull up all my metrics. There are approximately 2,200 merchants in Venezuela. There's like about 450 in the United States. There's approximately 100 and something in Colombia, and then there's Germany, Canada, Australia, Ukraine, United Kingdom, and Spain has about 15. So,
well, that's not too bad, isn't it? In Venezuela, that many, because they have a quite unstable currency. Can it be that this is somehow connected?
It's funny, like people in America think like, oh, cryptocurrencies are so unstable, but in reality, Venezuela's currency is much worse. So to them, like something like Dash looks very stable.
Yeah, totally. So it does not really astound me that there is that much traffic going on in cryptocurrencies in Venezuela, because this is damn stable. If you see the times that we're in cryptocurrency market, they are quite stable on a low base, but they are quite stable.
Yeah, definitely. And then so that's kind of like that's part of the reason why Spark's business model so far has not included any transaction fee. You know, taking the right now the people that are using it are that need it the most, and you know, taking 1% of their sales is that 1% that they really need, you know. So part of like my planned business strategy, you know, and this is still all up in the air, but is possible like maybe some advertisements, small unobtrusive advertisements in the app for the free version, and then on the premium version could be something like $1 a month if it's something that they are finding you know, that they're using a lot.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Soundwave's thought on Codex is basically saving Venezuela.
Oh, you know, I wouldn't go that far, but you know, helping, I hope.
Yeah, that's amazing. Anyways, what's going on there and how cryptocurrencies can really be something that has real worth in the real world quite heavily. This is quite hard to understand for me, because obviously running around in Germany waving with, I don't know, Dash or Bitcoins even will not get me anywhere. But yeah, running around in Venezuela might really be a much easier thing than running around with, I don't know, however this currency is really called that they are having down there currently.
Yeah, they just switched their currency. Actually, their old currency was the Venezuela Bolivar.
Ah, yeah, true, Bolivar. Yeah,
the Bolivar Fuertes. So they just it was hyperinflated so bad that they created the new currency, the Bolivar Soberano or something like that. And I don't know. I don't speak the Venezuelan, which I don't know what they speak. Portuguese, maybe. Spanish.
Yeah, most likely Spanish. Don't know.
Yeah, some version of Spanish.
Spanish, I'm pretty sure. We have some people at Utopian who are from Venezuela.
True.
I think we need to get you a cape and some tights, because I can see Codex being in the next Avengers movie, saving Venezuela.
Oh, I don't know about that, but you know.
Okay, how about just tight?
The idea is to help, you know, of course, and money is not really my driver. That's not what pushes me forward. I'm just glad that they're able to use it, and hopefully the solution is better than their currency. It's actually interesting. When I said earlier, we have 167 exchange rates, so that's 167 countries that we can operate in, and those well, maybe even more than that. Some countries use the same currency. But anyway, the Venezuelan Bolivar is the only exchange rate that we have to do separately from publicly available exchange rates, because the government is posting a false exchange rate. So
to let it look more stable than it really is.
Yeah, it's so bad down there that they're using the government is posting false exchange rates. And you know, we were using the government posted exchange rate for a while, and then I had people message me like, hey, these exchange rates are not what we use. And so I ended up using the exchange rates off local Bitcoins and seeing if that was close enough. And they said yes, it was right on point. So using the exchange rates for average across the last, I think I used the previous 200 trades from local Bitcoins and then average those, and then you exclude any outliers and then average those. And using that price to BTC and then the BTC to Dash price gets me really.
Yeah. So this is really great what you're doing down there. There wasn't a very well. You're not obviously down there, but you're helping it to be done. What I understand is asking is quite an interesting question. If it's not cash, what is your driver?
What? Well, my driver. That's a good question. I haven't figured it out yet. It's just I'm just a nerd, so I like to program. And if people are using the app, so I got it to a point where I didn't see what else I could do. I was like, this is a cool app. I'll put it out there for everybody. So when people started using it, well, then the requests start coming in like, oh, hey, we think this would be a great feature, or we think this would be a great feature. And that's what pushes me to, okay, I want to try and add that into the app. It's really a challenge, I think, is probably my driver. So, when somebody says, hey, I think this is what you should do, and then I think it's a good idea, then I'm like, oh, I wonder how I could do that. And so then I try and program it in. I Am Stan asks, do I have another job that pays the bills? Yes.
Well, that would help.
Yeah, I'm a bartender.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
And a world-renowned hand model.
That's true, yep. And usually their shots are taken of me typing.
Great. That sounds very good. Yeah, you need to have another job that pays the bills if you're just doing cool apps and ideas for a hobby. That's
yeah.
That's quite interesting, actually.
M1 is you're a bar attender.
Yeah. All those stock photos of hackers, they're all codecs. Yeah, that's great. Actually, we really miss you here on MSP Waves. Well, if I say we, I think it's the big MSP Waves family, because you had a great show going on, and it was.
I love MSP Waves. I still pop in every now and again, and Ron never sees me because I don't pop in early, but Krim sees me all the time, and. And I love MSP Waves. That hasn't changed at all. Obviously, I'm still a part of the server. And then when you guys asked me to be on the show, I was more than happy.
We were more than happy that you said yes.
Yeah, of course. Anytime for you guys. You know what I mean? Like I said, I love MSP Waves. I've been so incredibly busy the last few weeks. Especially, we just bought a house, and so I'm trying to insulate the garage and work and program and all this other stuff. So.
Yeah, well, this can be quite time-consuming as well. Not just building cool apps and, tending bars, but as well insulating garages, obviously. What is Ron typing there? No,
I was famous for all my.
It's no replay. We are live, Ron. We are really live.
My radio show is famous for having replays because I was always so busy. So
yeah, it was always since you were directly after me. I was always I was waiting always until someone was saying, "Is this now a replay or not?" And in the end, what happened is you said,
I remember recording a show. Once where I said, "All right, so and if you guys are listening to the replay, this is what something."
Yeah, it was great.
And, I recorded it as if it were a replay. And I think even a few times I said, yes, this is a replay, something. And people were like, what? No, you're live. And I'm like, no, I'm saying that for the people that are listening to this as a replay.
Yeah, exactly. So this was quite confusing because you started this one show that I was listening to as well, saying this was a replay. And then it got clear that this is quite live.
Yeah.
But on other occasions, there was this thing as well with replaying. Bucky, sorry, I was interrupting.
Yeah, I have to add in something too, because we were doing a show one time, and we got our wires crossed, and Ron and Globo thought we were doing a replay. So myself and Doghouse, the time counted down. We started talking, and people were in the audience, and we were asking questions, and nobody was responding. And then somebody said, "Is this live?" And I was going, "Yeah, we're live." And they said, "No, I think it's a replay." And I went, "No, we're live." And when we realized that there was a show playing,
Yeah.
and we were talking to ourselves.
That has happened to me before as well, and it's my fault really, because even though I'm pretty sure it was Globo that had the replay playing, I had replays so often that they just had replays queued up, and so when I had a live show, they would start playing a replay, and I'm going like, "Wow, nobody's talking to me."
Oh, that's good. Same deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is anyways, we were like I said, we have been really super happy when Bucky came around and said, "Hey, Codex is going to be on." We really were super happy because
Yeah.
and
Codex, something that this is. I'm only just realizing this now, but maybe this has not been lost on other people, but. Well, we've always heard for many years now about how cryptocurrency is going to be one of these. It's going to be a real savior to people in economies where the currency isn't stable, like you just talked at length about. But the thing is, the enabler maybe wasn't there. It might have been great in theory, but if you don't have a really easy to use interface, so people can actually use it. Well, then what's the point, But like you're saying, your app you have now is something that's easy to use, and people can use it on this. It's rubber on the road. So,
and I've always had that mindset about it. Like, people have asked me, well, why are you creating this? There's, nothing's broken. And I'm like, you're right. Nothing is broken. But the day that it is broken, this needs to be ready. And I don't know if we've hit that point, maybe in Venezuela, but if that's
at least
what
close.
it can be, then I'm happy.
It's at least close because I got some colleague down there, and it's not getting better. Let's put it like this. It's getting worse and worse. So I really like to see this cryptocurrency that has been put a lot into a shady corner, doing some good in the end.
Yeah, me too. That's the goal, obviously. Just money that can't be manipulated by governments, uncensorable transactions, things like that. That's what this was created for, and I'm glad that it's found its place in Venezuela, and maybe that's what it needs to drive it, beyond countries like that and uses like that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for having me on. I actually have to take off because I got to make it across town and get to this presentation. Tonight's actually the dry run. Tomorrow is the full-on pitch. But
okay. So we wish you the best of luck, Codex.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being around. Bucky, Codex, like I said, fingers crossed for this dry run and for the presentation, and with your house building and everything, that it works out fine. And we'll be happy in the near future if you come back and tell us how things are going.
Yeah, anytime, guys. And M1, if you want to contribute advertising writing, please do. Advertising is my very worst thing that I've ever tried to do. Well, besides video editing, I'm even worse at that.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah. So if anyone feels up in marketing, contact Codex. He's for sure happy to have you.
Please do. Just shoot me a direct message. I'm always on Discord. I mean, pretty much always logged in. I'm not always at my computer, but I mean, every other day, well, every day, every other hour. But anyway, yeah. See you guys. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I will.
Thanks a lot, Codex, and have fun.
Yep. See you guys. Have a good rest of your show.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take it easy.
Bye.
That's.
I still think we need to get him a cape.
Yeah, and tights.
And tights, because I maybe this has been lost on only me, but I've heard so often about how these cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin or Dash or Steam, is going to be the savior of people in parts of the world where the currency is unstable. maybe maybe this has been lost only on me, but the enabler I don't think has been there, and with really easy to use solid wallets and apps like this, there you go. That'll happen.
Yeah, totally. Super cool.
And again, maybe I'm just preaching to the choir here. Maybe I'm the only one who never saw that.
Very good, I'm Stan. You should do marketing, Love and freedom. I'm Stan. I'm happy that you made it in the end. And Humble Beaver and CryptoTash 101. Amy Meyer. Knowledges is here as well. M1, Pensive, Ron, Soundwave, Sodon, Space Cope, and Victor Frankenstein. I'm happy to have you all here. And what we're going to do now, since we have 10 minutes left, Bucky, did you prepare some raffle things before I announce it publicly?
Oh,
perfect.
Yeah, give me 20 seconds.
Yeah, I'm giving you even more. I just wanted to ask you in private if you have prepared anything, because it would be a real shame if I'm going to announce it.
Yeah, because if you whisper on air, nobody else hears it except me.
Yeah, exactly. This is the new whisper mode.
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny. Hey, look, your fly is down.
Yeah, okay. Oh, that's bad.
Nobody can hear us say that.
No, totally bad. But I can deal with it. Yeah, perfect. But I just had a short chat with Bucky that you couldn't hear because we were whispering. It was open source whispers. This is a new project by Diego himself. And he introduced this to us, and we are now the beta testers. And you didn't hear anything because we whispered so whisperly. And therefore, I'm going to recite what I just made out, or what I just talked to with Bucky. We have some raffle going on. It's a humble RPG book bundle, Pathfinder 2080s by Frog God Games. And it's all in capital letters because it's totally super important thingy, obviously. Else you wouldn't put it into capital letters, everything. The Source Whisper. The Source Whisperer. So, Bucky, are you ready? And is the bot on? Is the bot alive?
I don't know if the bot is alive or not, but we're going to try out in a sec.
Well, you all still remember how this raffle thingy works. We have a quite classical bot created by one of our own, Yestem Kioskiam from Utopian. He built this bot exactly for raffling things. And if you want to take part in the raffle, Bucky is going to ask a funny question. And you need to type in something like an answer to that funny question after Bucky started the raffle bot. So you take part. If you're not typing anything in, you won't be taking part in the raffle. You cannot be chosen as a winner.
That's right, but you don't type in yet because the bot has not started. We're going to give you 1 minute in a second, but we'll give you 1 minute. But here's the question that you need to type in the text for. We're going to have to get some tights and a cape for Codex, but we need to have, every superhero has something on, like something on the chest or on the, on the cape. We need to know what image are we going to put on Codex's superhero costume. So you write that in. Don't write it in yet.
Not yet. Bucky didn't start it.
I'm going to start it in a second, but when I do, then you type it in. Okay, here it comes. Okay, now you can. Now type in what are we going to put on the costume for Codex's superhero. Bulletproof toga.
Oh, Pyramid. Pyramid is cool. Pyramid. How cool that is. Running Man. Yeah.
Shot glass. Yes, because he is it has to be a shot glass and something about, maybe cryptocurrency or something. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
Bottle flipping. Yeah, could have a picture of himself. Whiskey bottles, yeah. But it has to be related to him saving Venezuela as well.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole state of Venezuela.
Yeah. You have a map of Venezuela or something to do with Dash as well. A big D.
Oh,
shot
yeah,
glass
D-Man. D-Man.
Yeah. And Dash sounds so superhero-ish anyway.
That's true. Daxman. Daxman. Whatever.
I want to get a costume with Knowledge's face on it.
That would
with
be
a
really
big
great.
with a big smile. And the winner is M1. M1 has
M1.
won the raffle. Yay!
With a bulletproof
Way to go,
toga.
M1.
This was the first idea.
Is that right?
Yeah.
The bulletproof toga. Cool. Well, that's cool. But later tonight, M1, I'll send you the information on how you can retrieve your prize. So
Yeah,
very
which
cool. And I
is-
think somebody asked me about what the book's about. I don't really know because I'm not a really strong reader. But I will. Let me read to you
But you
what
can
is
read.
in the books. One book is called Stoneheart Valley. One book is called One Night Stands. I don't know if that's about something maybe a bit racy. I don't know. One is called Book of Lost Spells. Another one is The Northlands Saga.
Huh.
So lots of cool stuff there. And if you're not a strong reader, maybe you need to learn to read first, and then you can enjoy the books even more.
Yeah.
You know, I said before, M1 has been around to some of the What Are You At shows with me, and one time he put us off the rails. We were in the middle of doing something, and he posted up some picture of some, I can't even remember what it was, but it was so funny. Me and Doghouse just fell around the place laughing. And, yeah, and we it was so funny, we actually wrote a song about him. M1 put us off the rails. That's what it was.
That's the infamous song you wrote that night.
Yeah, it was funny. It was a funny time. Very cool. Well, congratulations, M1, and we'll be raffling off again next week.
Yeah, definitely. Normally, we are always raffling off these humble bundles because they are also supporting charity and a good cause and everything. So, therefore, if you ever ask why we are raffling off humble bundles almost every time, this is why. Because we can be helping charity, helping a bit the content creators, helping a bit humble bundle themselves, and yeah, this makes sense to us. So normally we buy the things in bulk and then raffle it out in the radio shows or in these social broadcastings. I'm very sorry because this is officially now a social broadcasting and not a radio show. Really? You didn't? M1 Humble Bundle is I really have a big problem because Humble Bundle is a word that I cannot pronounce, just like this synthesizer that Bucky said before. So yeah. Well, I cannot raffle a 100% utopian vote because this is obviously meant to support open source software creations and contributions to open source software in general. So if you want to earn a utopian bot vote, then just create cool things for cool projects, do it open source, and the utopian bot will reward you without being or having the need to raffle anything. No more live show today, Globo, so we are the only ones. Bucky, I cannot hear you.
Is that right? I thought that we had. I thought Hope 777 had a show after us. I was going to promote it for her, but is she not gonna be on? Because she was. She put a show back an hour for us. It was really nice of her to do that, so we really appreciate it. So she has a show right after, and that's Hope 777. And she's sick today. Okay, well you should check it out because she was very accommodating in letting us push her show back.
Yes,
we're trying to
definitely.
We're trying to juggle so many schedules around the world as we do these shows between Israel, Canada, and Germany. It was very tricky, but yeah, that was good stuff.
Yeah, so she was very kind, and we wanted to advertise the show a bit, but we will do so next week and every week after because it was great from her to move back a bit. The rave show, was there a rave show going on? Soundwave sort of. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think what we probably should do, maybe next week we can, I don't know, maybe this is something we can talk about later, but maybe we can get some feedback from the show, the Steamfest show. We can get some feedback on this show. So we'll have Ilana. Ilana's actually there, and maybe we'll have some other people that are at the show, and we can do maybe a post-mortem, a recap of what happened at the Steam show.
So Ilana just said this to me or to us that she will run around trying to get some live snippets of the Steam Fest, and then we are for sure being around next week, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Wednesday until 9 p.m. This is a new time slot that we are having 1 hour later than before, and we'll be back next week, and hopefully we'll have some Steam Fest snippets, live sounds, and a lot of recap that Ilana will be doing then, we'll be happy to have those happening. I really hope that she's got the opportunity maybe to even talk to Nat. She wanted to try. We are crossing the fingers that it works out.
Okay, I think we're all out of time. I think we're done.
Yes, we are, but Globo didn't turn us off, I guess, because he said...
Oh, okay, is that right? I didn't know. I was kind of panicking.
No. He said you can go over...
We're talking to dead ear.
No. He said you can go over a few if you wish. No more live shows today due to sickness in Poland.
Well, it's good that I didn't jump on the microphone with some rude comment or something. That's good. I'm glad,
you forget it. You forgot. No, you should whisper. You should whisper to me if you want to insult me.
Hey, we're off the air.
Yeah, we're off. I think we totally slept over. We're off. So it was really a pleasure talking with all of you and talking with Codex and Chaos Swap. Really great projects, and they evolved so completely differently like we imagined half a year ago. And this is really great to see that there is so much movement in this project world, in this open source project world, and and we definitely need to do something for Super Codex. I don't know what yet, but we need to do something, Bucky.
Yeah, we'll get that open source clothing department started to get a open source cape.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe we can even get such a tight leather jacket like you have one. You know?
Yes, leather. Yes, there's my infamous leather jacket. Yes, that's right.
Or whoever was this leather jacket. So thanks a lot, dear audience. Oh, McFarhead has joined. Hey, McFarhead. Hey, Pensive. Hey, Ron. Soundwave Soda and Space Cope and Victor Frankenstein. It has been a pleasure as well with Amaya. Amaya? I don't know. Cryptotash, Globocop, Humble Beaver, I'm Stan, and Knowledge is, and Love and Freedom. It has been a pleasure with M1 as well, because he won our big raffle of the Humble Bundle RPG book bundle thingy. It was a bit late because we're right now closing the doors and shutting down the show. But nevertheless, it was still enough time for giving you a shout out. By the way, McFarhad, this reminds me, and now I'm using this to make a bit of advertisement for you, because I think you started in a New Witness, didn't you? So guys, if you want to see, I think ActiveFit and McFarhead, they started a New Witness. So check it out if you have one witness vote open. Thanks a lot, Love and Freedom, for being around. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys.
For all of us, for all of you have been around. For Bucky, that has made impressive questions for... Even though he said in the beginning that he's now relaxing and leaning back and not helping me at all because he can only ask dumb questions, he didn't. This was a disappointment, Bucky. This was a disappointment.
I told you, J.R. Swab, he brought up the intellectual level, and my job is to bring it back down again.
So you you did your job well. Okay, thanks a lot, guys. It was a great show. I had really fun with all of you. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Until next Wednesday, 7 p.m. UTC. Bye-bye.
Bye.